Welcome in, welcome back. Like that, episode 2. First episode out the door. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Woo, woo, woo.
Guys, how was it? First episode with like a little bit was there like a little bit of like pride watching those games, being like, oh damn, I hope my pics on social media don't end up burning me.
What's all right?
I mean,
Nick, how do you feel?
I had no sweat.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Some could
I had a
say
good
he
time
had one of
watching
the
Lions.
easier games in the slate. The
I
easiest
wouldn't
game in the
necessarily say it
slate.
was easy, but
I mean,
I was
maybe not
cheering
until
them.
the last quarter, but
Right. It was fun watching Jake.
gotta have
Brown.
decent confidence going into that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean
Or you can go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say to recap, just to remind everybody after episode 1, our first official picks of the week. I took the Jets at plus 2.5, and I'll get to that in a second, but that was a little bit of robbery there. Brooklyn taking the Chargers at -3. That was it looked good for a little bit. But that didn't go as planned. But shout out Nick for saving the podcast. It was agreed amongst the three of us that if we went 0 for 3, we don't know if we'd make episode 2.
We
shout
made
out
this
Nick.
whole plan, made all the pages and everything. It would have just been done after. We would have just.
Chargers truly upset me in that one, man. They were coming off of a bad loss to Jackson Dart's first start, and I was like, their defense has been decent to open up the season, and then all of a sudden, they just couldn't get a stop once Jaden Daniels found his rhythm. And God, the last half, they couldn't make anything happen. And if you look at their team right now, their O-line is just so just not stable. Herbert has no time to make anything happen at the moment. So going forward, Chargers are banned for me. They've screwed me over twice, both on I think games that should have definitely had a different result. But they play Miami this Sunday.
But
I don't like
There's
anything in
always
that game. I'm not touching anything in that game, but I am just going to say, in terms of who has the possibility to have another bounce back week, Madison Beer's boyfriend. Let's get it going.
hell yeah. I mean, up 10-0. I mean, not very often you're going to see the Chargers give up 27 unanswered. Ladd got that kick return touchdown that got brought back. So there's a little bit of unluckiness there.
The hurdle was cool though.
The play was so sick, man. It's one of the, if
The-
I was
the play was
Ladd
awesome.
and I see that flag, I just turn around and be like, you gotta be kidding me, bro.
I was driving back from a camping trip with my girlfriend, and I'm on the thruway, New York State thruway, and I am just going like 80 miles an hour while also watching the entire final drive for the Chargers while we're just going left, right between lanes.
Same.
And I was like, you don't understand. The podcast rides on this pick.
Yeah, to talk about another stinker. I mean, the box score looks worse than the Jets played, and I know that's crazy. When you at one point you saw the game and it was 23-3. But what if I told you in that game the Jets only had 40 less yards of offense, had the same amount of first downs, and I really think that what kind of sold the game, and it was very early on, yes, but they're down 10-3. They're in their own end zone. Or on their side of the field, excuse me. Brees Hall fumbles the ball. Immediate facepalm for me. I'm like, oh my god. And it didn't get better from there. But again, yeah, there were some garbage time stats that kind of inflate this. But I mean, yeah, they lost by 2 scores. But I think that if they don't lose the ball there, at least kick a field goal. I think that definitely changes the script of that somewhat there. But that's if you're talking about demoralizing beats, you just start a podcast. You want to be, you do your homework, and you're like, you know what, you'll be a fire one to start with. Let's take the Jets. Let's take the winless team. And then 23-3. Oh my god. But Nick, Lions minus 10.5. We got to take the W's when we get them.
I'm happy with the pick. I'm happy that my pick was the one that actually succeeded because I have this bad voodoo apparently that every single bet I make, I'm like book it with Trent. Not trying to diss anybody, but
I would
apparently
not tell this on a podcast when we're talking about gambling.
But I'm just saying the ongoing gag is just fade me, and the one time you fade me, you lose. No, I mean, at the beginning of the game, I definitely thought they were going to be coming out a little more explosive. It was 7-0 at the end of the first quarter, and I was like, "Oh, awesome!" And then going into halftime, it was 14-3, so they were covering at 11 on the dot. 14 points scored in the third quarter, though, and then the Jamar Chase show happened. I feel like we've all been kind of waiting for that to happen. He started going off. He had 2 touchdowns. Bengals had
You know, let
21
me just
points
also
scored.
let me just also come in and say Jamar Chase show happened on both sides of the ball. He was tied for the Bengals for the most tackles on the team because of Jake Browning's fits.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
yeah, shout out Jamar Chase making
yeah,
plays on
shout out
both
Jamar.
sides.
We
Yeah,
didn't.
I mean, it
Oh, yeah.
after that second touchdown by Jamar, it definitely made it a little sweaty because it was still at 11. But I mean, still, I'm glad my pick succeeded.
As a man that has Jamar Chase in numerous fantasy leagues, I was immensely frustrated through 3 quarters of that game. And I'm like texting a couple people, and I say, I'm like, why don't the Bengals just give it to Jamar every play? Like, like the offense hasn't looked better with trying to do it, a traditional offense. Like, just throw it to the guy. And then, I don't know, shit. I think my FBI agent through my phone like sent it up the totem pole, and then proceeded to get it to the game because Jamar Chase just started cooking. But then then it got the line spread a little bit in worry. But all worked out. All worked out,
We
Jamar.
wouldn't be here if it weren't for the Lions covering the spread.
Thank you,
So,
Jake
Shout out
Browning.
Lions. Shout out David Montgomery for the passing touchdown.
Yeah, literally.
Was
And
not on the
eventually
single
started
card.
one of them,
I
but-
did say in the first episode that he was had family coming out first game in Ohio. Did not say he was gonna throw for a touchdown. He say he was gonna
Speaking of
rush.
which,
for
guess
maybe
who
one or
didn't have
two.
family coming out but still showed out? Dylan Gabriel.
Dad doesn't have a passport.
Funny
Can't see the
part of this
NFL
episode
debut.
is like, it's like Nick's like, oh yeah, that's right. His family can't even watch him for his first start.
Yeah, I know. That's so crazy.
But he balled out for most of it, but they ended up taking it
And
out.
I was right. Njoku. You can't miss him.
Or the other tight end, Bannon.
Yeah, Fanning got a touchdown on the
Right.
on the 1 yard
Yeah.
line. One thing we
Quick thing
didn't.
I want to shout out. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to talk about, like, if we're talking about last week's games and such. We didn't post on social media our full picks for the week. Something we'll be doing this week. But quick shout out to Nick again. I mean, in total points, Nick had 8 correct picks for spreads. I came in second with 5. Brooklyn with 4. But before we start,
I'm waiting for it.
Before we
Oh
start
my god!
clapping.
I'm gonna mute myself for this one. Let's talk.
Before we start clapping, Nick chose Titans to cover, and I don't think that should be rewarded. I don't think that should be rewarded in the slightest.
No, it shouldn't.
You take the team and, like, I don't know if you had money on the game, but, like, for the Titans to cover a spread, Kim Ward throws a pick, leads to a touchdown. Mercado on the Cardinals, 76 yards. More like 75. He drops the ball right beforehand. And the worst part, both those things happen, and they're still winning. They're not covering, but they're still winning. And then Cam Ward probably makes the best throws of his career to Calvin Ridley, and the Cardinals have lost 3 straight weeks off of 3 straight field goals. But I'm not giving you a pat on the back for.
You're also forgetting about the snap that went off of Kyler's face.
Oh my god!
And then he left the game.
Right?
He left
And
the
then
game.
left the game immediately after that.
Well,
due to embarrassment.
And because
dude,
who,
that
no,
throw over the
I
top
will
to
clarify.
Ridley was kind of crazy. He placed
Yes.
that perfectly. That was a great throw.
I will clarify. I did not have money on this game. Okay. Cardinals covering by 8 points. I get how bad the Titans is, but I was just not confident going in with this Cardinals run offense at all. And I mean, Kyler really hasn't been great throwing the ball. The Titans are the Titans. They're a terrible team. But I went with my gut. That's why.
another one that you had that both Brooklyn and I did not was Jacksonville covering. What a crazy Monday night game that was.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was looking at the statistics, and I mean the Chiefs defense through the air was really good, but I mean they also did a pretty good job on the ground, except not Trevor Lawrence not being able to stop Trevor Lawrence running the ball, but ETN, I mean
fell
they
on the
limited him
ground.
pretty well. Yeah,
Do you see the last play though when T-Law runs it in? Did you see Chris Jones?
yeah, the little effort that he showed,
Yeah,
he's getting blown up for that.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence falls down when trying to. I believe he was trying to hand it off. I think that was if you
He
had
was trying to
Travis
hand it
Etienne,
off,
that's a painful
and the
fantasy.
center stepped on his foot, and he still had enough time for him to get up and then run around, and then still score. There was like 20 seconds left in the game too. I don't know what down it was to be exact.
Yeah, so no
But
pressure, Nick. But we're talking about how your pick of the week went through. We're talking about you were number one in the leaderboards. There, you got a little bit of a little bit of high stakes going to week two. Now you're the know it all over here.
it's not gonna last. Don't worry.
But
It's
with
not gonna
that,
last.
that's the recap. Let's jump into the picks of the week. Opening it up, we got Thursday night football. Eagles at the Giants. Now, I didn't have too many victory laps last week, but Denver covering was one of them. One thing that was really exposed of the Eagles last week was their offense really struggles against zone coverage. They faced a lot of man last year, and that's where they were most successful. But Denver, right after halftime, primarily played zone for the rest of the second half, excuse me, and offense started to pick it up a little bit. They end up covering the spread there. And going in Thursday night football, Giants, the line opened up -7 in favor of Philly. Now it's at 7.5. The Giants, they play a lot of zone as well, but they're not necessarily great at it. 24th ranked secondary according to PFF, bottom 10th when in allowing like 20 plus yard throws. But at the same time, the over-under's at 40.5. So pretty low scoring affair, it looks like. Is this a game I'm really looking at? Like, is that something I want to put my college or my kids' college fund on? Probably not. Probably not. Divisional games usually a little bit closer. Eagles offense really hasn't shown much that it can cover this type of spread. But what are you guys' feelings here? I know looking at the spreadsheet, we're all on board with Philly, but not gonna lie, part of me did want to take the Giants. I'd say like 25%. Anybody have any same interest there?
I was kind of on the fence too. I think Dart's been really great to start his first couple games. And Eagles, like we saw, it just have not been great passing the ball. Like throw back to my AJ Brown, Jamar Chase argument. Like AJ Brown didn't do jack last week, and Dart's just been solid. Knowing when to get out of the pocket, when to run, and I definitely think that Giants can keep it close. I still think the Eagles are probably going to be the better team to pull it off. But I was thinking about it for a little bit.
I agree, but the Giants don't have Saquon anymore. He's on the team that they're playing.
Wait, really?
So
they don't have. When did that happen?
Yeah. I'm just saying. I mean, both these teams. I mean,
that was the reason.
I mean, if the pass doesn't work, I just feel like. I mean, with the addition of Abdul Carter, I still think that Saquon's going to be able to run all over this team. I think he's going to be a real issue.
Do you know how many carries Saquon had last week?
Not off the top of my head.
6. A lot of I think what the Eagles need offensively is they definitely need Jalen Hurts to kind of like resurrect himself a little bit. We're not really seeing much of him scramble, and I think that was a big part of the success last year. We talked about AJ Brown last week. AJ Brown kind of like stopped in the middle of his route, kind of assuming the play was dead, and then he looks up and Hurts actually threw him a deep ball, and it was just about like a yard or two out of reach. But Giants, I think that if there is a game script where the Giants win this game, it's because of the defense. Like I think Dart's still pretty raw. You were seeing him scramble pretty well, but I think through the air is where he's going to need to show out. And I mean, he didn't look primarily, very good against the Saints. Tyrone Tracy cleared to come back. If he plays this Thursday night, I don't have any Cam Scatabo stake, but I'd be a little worried if I did.
Well, I do, and I am.
Are you quaking in your boots?
I would say quaking. Scatabo came out on my team he came at the right time. I forget exactly who I had go down, but he's been a good play for me to have thrown into an RB2 slot or flex. But a couple guys coming back from injury now, if you have stake in Scatabo, I don't know. He had a decent showing to start. He's been reliable to get the ball and to fight for some yards, and especially a couple big plays for him. I think. I mean, I don't know how if they might possibly split backfield between touches for them, but definitely, yeah, he's gonna take a hit for usage. But yeah,
Outside of that, I mean, fantasy wise, I do like AJ Brown in this matchup. I think Devonta Smith also has a pretty good matchup here. But if I have any stake outside of Scatterbo and the Giants, I'm not playing them. I'm not playing Dart this week. This is a very obvious Dart Aster class, unless he finds the end zone. But anything else you guys got on this game?
Class.
Sorry, I don't think he can throw the ball yet. He's facing a tough defense.
No, just probably another Thursday night primetime stinker. But I feel like we're getting used to these by now.
Final score 17-13, which therefore Giants would cover. But
it's getting ridiculous.
We're sticking with these on fire New York teams. The Broncos heading over to the Jets, 7.5 in favor of Denver.
This game is in London, I believe.
Oh, well.
This might be the 9:30.
Let me double check that. Somebody else talked about this game in the moment.
I think I said that earlier. I wanted to talk
It is at
about.
9:30. Oops.
Yeah, I want to talk about this one specifically because, like, when it comes to the spread picks right now, I'm the only one who's in favor of the Jets plus 7.5.
Not making that mistake twice. Yep. No.
This is a Jets team that is so desperate to find a win. Now you don't really need to worry about like home stadium, home fans, whatever they are going to be in London. That doesn't matter. Similar to a pick that Nick had, where he just felt like it's a possible, could go either way, but I'm leaning one way. I am definitely leaning towards the Jets, and it could definitely go the wrong way. I'm going to say that now because the Broncos do have, a very solid defense. Top 5 in their blitz rate, 49%, almost 50, pretty much there. And Fields loves to scramble. He also gets sacked a ton. Denver loves to sack. Denver loves sack. But talking about this game, I think the Jets still have talent. They have Fields and Hall and Garrett Wilson still in their main trio. And if you look in fantasy numbers and just overall, they've been hanging in games. It just hasn't been pretty for them to win. So I think this is another game that they're just, they're a team that's hungry for their first win. I think they're the only team that hasn't won.
Yep.
And that's, to me, that's bound to change at some point. I'm going to take a chance here just because I don't think the Broncos are, the craziest offense. And the Jets, I believe, have a defense that has been playing so severely under what they are capable of. I'm going to take the risk here just because I think they can keep it close. They might not win, but I think they'll cover.
I'm talking about some of the stats on Fields. Number 1 in QB scramble percentage. But at the same time, you're talking about how Denver loves sack. They're top 5 in blitz rate. Nearly 50% of the time, you're seeing like a pretty decent package coming at you. And Fields, I think in this type of game, you're gonna for the Jets to win, they're gonna have to establish themselves through the air. Which how is Garrett Wilson gonna perform against a guy like Pat Surtain? So I think I'm pretty confident in Denver, but I don't, I'm not confident in their offense, but I just think that the Jets might struggle to move the ball. But to that same point, it's going to be an interesting matchup, I think, for the running game, because like we said, Fields is obviously going to try to take off. Last week, they averaged almost 6.5 yards per carry, and Breece Hall's been pretty solid to start the year. What do you think, Nick?
No, I mean, I can see where Brooklyn's coming from, but I mean, I'm a Bo Nix guy. I know Nico hates Bo Nix. But this Jets secondary really isn't that great. I mean, so far this season, they are allowing 214 passing yards to the air. Cortland Sutton has actually been a pretty good receiver for Denver and for Bo Nix. He's had a pretty good year. He's been able to stay pretty healthy. If he can keep it up, he's on route to have a pretty good year. RJ Harvey's been getting some targets. He's been getting some touches. He had a pretty good week a few weeks ago. Last week, not so much. But, this Jets defense also has a hard time getting to the quarterback. And I've mentioned Denver's offensive line previously last week. I think I did a little bit. But still, same thing. One of the top offensive lines in this league. So
I do want to the Jets, I don't think the Jets are going to be the team that comes out on top here. I do think that they're able to, possibly keep it close and cover the spread within 8.
Hey, block a field goal.
But I will be very honest. Even with that pick, I do acknowledge how tough that Broncos defense is going to be. Nick Bonito has 7 sacks already. The Jets have 7 as a team. The stats don't lie. The Broncos are going to be one of the toughest matchups defensively that they'll have for a team that really cannot, just close a game out. So I understand the heavy leaning towards Denver. I just think that this is a possible game the Jets can at least cover that spread. Maybe with luck steal a win.
Yeah, no, I think a lot relies on the run game. I think if they establish the run, this game will be closer than we think. If not, it might just be a Denver blowout. But again, we've seen every time all these overseas games have been interesting in some ways. Like the Minnesota Cleveland game went down to the wire. We saw that like Pittsburgh Minnesota, another game that went down to the wire. So this could be closer than we think. But
It's Minnesota.
I can't put.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say.
I can't talk about the Jets, but Dallas at Carolina, 3.5 in favor of Dallas. Now, this is where I guess I step in a little bit because I'm rolling Panthers here. It's not my pick of the week, but this is another one I was kind of on the fence about. But so far this year, the very large sample size to work from. But Carolina's 2-0 against the spread at home as underdogs. We saw Rico Dowdle rush for over 200 yards against that Miami defense, and they're going against a Dallas defense that we've talked about a million times before is not prolific at all. And again, we talked about just how the Jets, Breece Hall had a good day. So I think Carolina, like the O-line, playing better than expected with all the the injuries and names that they've got starting out there. But I think kind of similar to the Jets, if they can establish the run against Dallas, I think it's going to be some type of shootout. And I think this could really blow up in my face, just like last week did, betting against the Cowboys. But this Panthers defense hasn't been as the worst in the league. And Bryce Young's like he put together a game-winning drive last week. So for me, I look at the numbers, I see what they've got on offense. We saw a better week from Leggett. You get another little win under you. You get some momentum going back home. So I'm rolling with the Panthers, baby. Go Kitties! Can I get a meow?
It's funny to think about how the Panthers. I think I read there's a Panthers podcast that literally announced they were shutting down because of how bad they were, and then literally the week after that they just steal or they have a very very good game. Yeah, you mentioned the touchdown.
When that news was announced, that was before the game against New England, where they got smacked.
Yeah, that must have felt right.
Those guys are like normal husbands, and they literally said in their statements that they'd rather like help do the grocery shopping on Sundays rather than have to watch this team.
It's not basketball season yet, but I'm pretty much in that boat too, guys. So don't worry, we'll get there.
But interesting thing to note right now, ESPN like their current win totals through the year. They have as of 2 days ago, they have the current line for the Cowboys at 7.5, and they have the Panthers at 5.5. And when looking at this Panthers schedule, I don't really think there are many winnable games coming up. After this game, they go on the road to the Jets, which is probably going to be one of their better matchups through the years, or through the rest of the year, because then we're talking Bills, Packers. They still play the Saints twice, which is good, but Niners, Bucks twice, Seahawks, Rams. So I look at like one of the main reasons I did like this game is if there's any game that the Panthers are going to sneak another win, probably at home, probably as dogs, and probably against a bad defense. But why do we like Cowboys, Nick?
Well, I'll get into more. Well, no, I guess I'll talk about it. I talk about Dak a little bit more later on in this episode. But even without CD, Dallas has kind of been on a hot streak. I mean, granted, their schedule really hasn't the last 2 games. Dak has thrown for 7 touchdowns, I believe, 500 yards. He's been showing out. George Pickens has been balling. Devontae Turpin, even though he didn't necessarily have a big impact last game, the week before that, he's been huge.
Shout out Ryan McConnell.
Jake Ferguson, tight end 1 right now in fantasy. He's been balling. Granted, their defense sucks, but their offense is really making up for it. They're kind of in a rhythm right now. And this Carolina secondary really is nothing special. I mean, J.C. Horn's a really good corner. But, I mean, Dallas has been able to find a way to kind of do what not necessarily Buffalo's message to feed everybody the football, but, I mean, with the loss of CeeDee Lamb, if you look at the stat sheet and you look at their last 2 games, it really hasn't affected their offense in a major way.
I'd say fantasy-wise, I like both sides of the ball. Like, I think Dak, Bryce Young are good QB options this week. Obviously, Dowdle, Javonte. Well, Javonte's probably a must-start. Dowdle against a good offense here, and then I think Tet again, same thing. I think he's got a good matchup. Pickens going to be good. Ferguson going to be good. Ryan Flournoy, or sorry, that's he's on the Colts. Sorry, um, but I think that like this is going to be a pretty high scoring game. But roll dog or well for me roll cats.
Dogs.
I was about to say dogs. I made the mistake last week too. But somebody get the drum roll here. We got our first pick of the week coming in.
Drum roll, please. All right. So I guess since I got mine right
Sorry,
last
somebody
week,
hit
I'll
it.
start it off.
Oh,
Yeah, there we
that's
go.
not even the
Almost.
drum roll. That's
Pick of the week.
I didn't know the winner gets the sad one. Okay. So my pick of the week this week is Colts -6.5. Or when I picked this, it was at 6.5. The line's now moved to -7. They are playing the Arizona Cardinals this week. So doing some research, both these defenses aren't necessarily great passing wise. Colts are ranked 23rd and 25th in total passing yards and passing attempts, while Arizona is bottom 3 in yards allowed and allows the most passing attempts to QBs. Colts obviously this season have been a powerhouse offensively. They rank first in points and in passing yards in the league, which can, as I just mentioned, can cause a concern for the Cardinals. Colts average 6 yards per passing play. Do the math, basically 2 passing plays, almost a first down. The Cardinals defense has been pretty good this season, allowing a little less than 4 yards to carry on the ground. But it's Jonathan Taylor, so I still see that being an issue for the Cardinals, defensive line. Not necessarily even if he's having a struggle running the ball, he's still pretty dangerous receiving the ball, as we've seen. And I mean, what else we've kind of already briefed it, but Cardinals really last 3 weeks have lost
Bullshit
game-losing
loss.
field goals. Bullshit loss. But even before that, the running back room right now is just very iffy. I mean, Michael Carter, obviously the clear RB1, probably getting every single attempt next game.
you don't give
Hey,
DeMarcado another chance.
shout out Bam Wright
No.
or Bam Knight. Bam
No.
Knight found the end zone last week. Don't sleep on their RB5.
And I mean, Kyler's really had no time to kind of set his feet in the pocket. Cardinals have allowed 16 sacks in 5 weeks. So I'm rolling with the Colts. I think this game is going to favor in the Colts offense. I think just being able to dish it out through the air is really what's going to be able to bring them over the edge. If they can limit turnovers, I mean, their only loss this year is against the Rams. Rams scored 27. They were still able to score 20 points on them. But, I mean, key factor of that, Daniel Jones threw 2 interceptions. And Stafford had almost 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns through the air. So it's clear Colts have some trouble against the pass. If they can limit Trey McBride. And, I mean, Marvin Harrison, I mean, I love Marv. Just traded for him. Not going to lie. He's kind of been struggling. So it really all depends on if the Cardinals offense is going to come up to play, but I think this Colts offense is going to overwhelm them.
And I think the Colts have been so. I mean, they're in such a good rhythm right now. They're very consistent. JT's been playing great as always. Daniel Jones, the 2 picks he threw are the only 2 picks he's thrown this year. And you're going up against a shaken up Cardinals team that just let up the stupidest loss probably of the year. And in terms of, I mean, they Cardinals do have a reputation. Their defense for being tough on opposing quarterbacks and stuff. But the Colts are in a good flow right now. I'm with Nick here on this spread. So love it.
I think we can definitely. I mean, I hope there's not a worse loss than what the Cardinals had last week. Again, that is bad.
Also, just looking at it, I mean, obviously the line went up from 6.5 to now 7, but still, I mean, for a team that leads the league in points, I feel like minus. Don't do it again, please. Don't do it, please.
Put those hands down.
I think. I thought it should be higher. I think it should be higher.
If it was higher,
especially against this card. So that's why I'm rolling with them, especially them being at home too. Yeah, I like them -7. I think they can cover by 7. So that's my pick of the week.
This was another one where you look around and last year underdogs hit it like right around like a 45-ish% hit rate throughout each week. So you're looking at like what team on paper doesn't make sense to win that could cover, and like everything for me wanted to take this game. But as I've had Kyler in a dynasty league for the last 3 years. I feel like I've watched a decent amount of Cardinals ball, and I mean, I'm almost rooting for a loss here just so that the Cardinals kind of clear house when it comes to coaching staff. But if this line was like 7.5, to be honest, I think that's where I would kind of flip and I go Arizona. I think they're
Can't
like
have a
again,
coach who's hitting his players. So
yeah. I mean, as long as if he can take the snap, not off the dome, and if his running backs don't
like
drop the ball, like that's
getting fined for $100,000, and you're just like, honey, grab the checkbook.
crazy. But
I slapped the running back on accident.
Is this this is another line that like I was saying to like Brooklyn before we recorded that I think this week, I mean, there's obviously gonna be weeks where there's gonna be a lot of picks that are gonna be kind of conflicting, but like I don't know, the books did a good job because my head was spinning trying to make this episode work. But I think there's a route where the Cardinals actually do come out with a win. I'm not like completely sold on the Colts yet, as crazy as that sounds. Like I know they've been the most efficient offense to start the year. They've been kind of moving through teams, but like we kind of said, I think the competition so far this year hasn't been too crazy. And I just want to look one more thing up when we talk about their schedule because they did face some decent offenses, but to that same point, like I think outside of the Rams, this is the best team that they're going to face offensively. Like the Broncos defense, they obviously did well against, but I think this could be a game where Kyler kind of shows his legs a little bit more. So I'm not completely out on the Cardinals. Like again, one point further, and when you're talking a two touchdown game or a 2 possession game in that right, I'd probably lean Birds. But until then, we're gonna follow the shoes.
This is the guy that took the Jets last week, by the way.
Don't try to slander me. You took the Titans. You don't. We're like we can't count that as a win for you. We gotta put that back.
I am. If you're gonna bring it up like that, then I am.
I'm so mad at that game. I didn't have money on the game, but like the head coach of the Titans, he goes like after the game, like you get a big win, right? First Cam Ward, first win in the NFL, right? It's a big moment, and he starts off this post game meeting with the team, and he's like, sometimes you just need things to go your way. And, that's not saying like
shout out the number 1 pick, making a great comeback. Like, no,
sometimes
we got lucky.
It's one thing. It's one thing of like one, if say like DeMarcado, like the only thing that happened was he just was a little slippery with the ball. Totally get that, but I will never get over. I don't know if we'll ever see it again. The interception turned into touchdown. Like
I watched it like three times.
That was probably like.
Like when you play Madden,
the series of events.
The one thing I took away from that is all the years that I played Madden, and I used to get so mad when like there was a fumble and it just turns into soccer. Like the ball just getting kicked around. And I'm like, this isn't realistic. Like they know how to pick up a ball. I guess not.
They finally did it in real life.
The Cardinals secondary thought they were playing football. But shout out Tyler Lockett. Shout out the touchdown.
Yeah, for real. Shout out Tyler Lockett. He deserves it. Honk.
Probably, in my opinion, the stinkiest matchup of the week. The one that's the least favorite to watch is going to definitely be, for me, Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh minus 5.5. Yeah. They didn't even do anything wrong. We just know it's going to be a stinker. Lowest...
Gabriel versus Onk.
Yeah, exactly.
Over. I think we're gonna see a Browns poop fest here, but
we're gonna see a whole lot of Brown on this field.
Yeah.
37.5 game total. That's exciting. That's a good thing to see.
Yuckers.
What would you? Does anyone remember what last week's was?
36 or no, it's 35.5.
And guess what? This is the game that Dylan Gabriel's parents can go to.
Is there going to be a record set for the lowest total like ever this year? Do we keep getting lower and lower? Like, are we ever gonna hit the record for like the lowest opening total points?
Oh my
I'm gonna look this up, but I think in recent years it might be like the Bills Patriots game from like the snow game where like Mac Jones only threw the ball 3 times.
Yep.
Yep. But I know who had some notes here. Brooklyn, I know you wrote a decent amount here.
That is not.
I did.
Oh, oops, sorry.
I'll go into it
yeah,
because I also took Cleveland to cover.
Yeah, Brooklyn and I both hit. But why do you like the Southpaw, the 5'11" listed online, but supposedly 5'9" Oregon product, Dylan Gabriel?
Well, I
Thinks we
don't
should
like
play
Dylan
real football
Gabriel.
on
I like
grass.
the only reason why
Better.
I'm taking the only reason why I'm taking Cleveland to cover really in this game is because I think this Browns defense is going to do a really good job at congesting Aaron Rodgers within the pocket, and they're going to make him make really dumb throws or just make him very uncomfortable to the point he's not going to be able to hit his reads. If you take a look back in the fourth quarter against the Vikings before the bye week, Steelers defense allowed 180 yards and 14 points alone. Not necessarily a sweaty game towards the end, but it was close. Steelers defense definitely isn't as it's been in recent years as we've seen. Their secondary is a little iffy. They're not as good as they have been. They let the Jets score 30 points, which for a Jets team, pretty unheard of. Aaron Rodgers looked really bad against Seattle a few weeks ago. Two picks, but I mean, since then he's kind of picked it up. Against the Vikings, 200 passing yards and a touchdown. But this Browns defense against the run, man, only 17 first downs rushing this season.
The Browns defense is so good,
which is crazy. I know they're coming off of a bye week. Jalen Warren, I know, is pretty healthy, so he's probably good to go. But I mean, you got a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers behind the center. I mean, you have to protect him.
Also,
so I think it's gonna be a problem.
For the
Lotus, he will break.
For the Lotus,
yeah, he will. Yeah, he has before.
Yeah, that was just off of him deciding to leave the pocket for a half second. This one, he's got Myles Garrett in his face.
It could happen again. You don't know.
Last year, there was one instance, because a lot of these are from like the 90s. But last year, there was a Patriots-Jets game where the quarterbacks were Trevor Siemian versus Bailey Zappi. And the game opened up at a over-under of 28.5. And
that's hard to beat.
The under hit. Final score 17-3.
I will say, I'm looking into next week. We do have, and not to jump the gun on next week's episode, but I'm just going to shout out Miami at Cleveland. Something to keep an eye on.
Oh, God.
Miami playing at Cleveland 1 p.m. next week. Yes, that's why. I think that's gonna be a poop fest too.
I mean, I didn't get to watch much of last week's game for Cleveland, but like that was one of those, like, if there was any game for them to win, damn.
Yeah.
Gabriel, to be honest, he just kind of looks like a game manager, man. Like, I mean, I know it's your first NFL game, to be fair, but they're not going to ask him to do a lot. And I don't know let's see if StatMuse can kind of bless me here, but I'm pretty sure Mike Tomlin dominates against rookie QBs.
It's not even on the field. He just knows how to like psychologically
I'm pretty sure he does.
So still looking for his first career win, but we've seen Spencer Rattler take some time to get that. So this is one of those where I didn't try to overthink it. Like, if this does end up hitting in favor of Cleveland, I think that just means it's going to be a very low scoring affair. But I think that the Pittsburgh offense will be able to do enough. Like we kind of saw against New England. Like they, granted, almost lost a game when when New England had 5 turnovers. But Browns offense, that really isn't too exciting. So I think that it could lean Pittsburgh, or it could lean Cleveland, excuse me. But if it does, like, I think the final score is like 17 to like 14.
Oh, that's what I'm assuming this game is going to be. I hope no one expects like any like deep bombs to DK Metcalf happening this game. But Aaron Rodgers, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to have enough time to gather himself to throw the ball that far.
I agree. He's not going to have any time to set anything up. Like, if anything, it's a Hail Mary to DK within like 3 seconds of him getting the ball.
You're going to see a lot of checkdowns and a lot of runs to the outside, running away from Myles Garrett.
How well can Pittsburgh defend against Quinshon Judkins? That's going to be the question.
That's another. Yeah, he's been really good too.
I think he's top 5 in rushing yards on the season already.
Yeah.
But yeah, you stand with Cleveland. I'm going to ride with Rodgers, see how that burns me. Not your pick of the week, Brooklyn, but next matchup, Chargers at the Dolphins, plus 4.5. When I started doing my work for this, I was on the Chargers side. Then I flipped to Miami. Nick's on Miami. Um,
Mhm.
but you thinking that they can help you out this week? Chargers minus 4.5.
Uh, I am not taking them with confidence, and that's why they're also not my pick of the week. That O line has so much work to do in order to just give Herbert a couple of seconds to try to get something going, and also they just haven't been able to string together decent plays, and especially when it matters. And also, like I talked last week, like their defense is among one of the better defenses in the league, or at least one of the middle tier defenses. Definitely not bad, but they just couldn't stop Washington, and they also had flaws against New York. I don't think it's a bad line to go with the Chargers here, because it's a possible game for them to get momentum moving against a really bad defense. But at the same time, I'm not too confident in them overall, just because they have had issues closing games out and really making plays when it matters. So
I think as crazy as it sounds, I think the line is too big. Like the Chargers, they started the game last week looking really nice, but I think the O line is what really scares me. Like Justin Herbert has had no time to really figure out what to do down there. Chargers also, we haven't talked about it yet, but Amari Hampton, he just hit IR, so they're gonna have some type of running back room of Hassan Haskins and Vidal there that are gonna be taking that. So the Miami defense is nothing pretty, but they have some names on the D line. And when you're talking about a beat up O line for the Chargers, I think that's a recipe for some success on the side of Miami. And Tua looked good last week. Again, Panthers defense isn't pretty, but he was able to sling it a little bit there. So I think this is another one where the line is so close where if we're talking like 2.5, like if the Chargers win by a field goal, I can definitely see that happening, but 4.5, I think the Dolphins will be in this game. If they're not in this game, like I think this could be Mike McDaniel's last game in Miami.
Definitely.
So I think there's a little bit more pressure
it's
there.
Still there, man. I really am. But I mean, to me, the Rams are an appealing play here, just because
The Chargers.
Especially if I'm looking at, Rams, yeah, Chargers are an appealing play because they're talent wise, they have the weapons to be a good team, and Herbert is a good quarterback. But yeah, that O line is just making things so impossible to really get any string of plays or give Herbert any time to create something, and thus it shows now in the last two games how they haven't been able to really move the ball. So. I like the weapons that they have. It's definitely capable of a bounce back week against Miami.
Fantasy wise, well, Waddle, no Tyreek. He was pretty good last week. We'll talk about that later as well. But Achan's been not necessarily they didn't have a good game rushing wise at all last week. I think the Dolphins had less than 20 rushing yards in the second half against the Panthers. But Achan's just been insane when it comes to checkdowns. I want to bring up Darren Waller, because if Darren Waller's healthy next week, he's, unless you have Jake Ferguson, he's probably a set and forget type of tight end for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I agree. Red zone targets are insane right now for him. It's kind of insane. How do you retire, make shitty rap music, unretire, and then just start catching touchdowns again like it's nothing? I don't understand that.
His snap count keeps going up each week. They're kind of easing him back into it, but he's finding targets. Again, no Tyreek. He's the guy that they're going to there. And then they have the special, another thing. If you need a fantasy spot start, don't start Malik Washington.
No, dude.
Unless you want a running back in the wide receiver position.
Only 24.
But yeah, so roll Dolphins for myself and Nick, but
Dolphins.
Brooklyn hoping that Herbo can be a Superman, which he's done in the past, to be fair.
Definitely not taking the pick, but I do not hate it.
Sticking with LA, another one that kind of burned me last week when I was saying that, it could be interesting for the Ravens, but I very much undervalued or I overvalued the depth they have on their defense, because holy shit, was that wrong? I could not have been more wrong.
Both,
that was rough.
That was the ugliest game of the day.
They made the Texans offense look like a top 5 offense in the league.
Realistically, again, none of us I don't want to spend too much time talking about this game, but all of us took the Rams. The defense for the Ravens is so beat up. No Lamar, you really can't count on that offense. This should be our honorary group pick of the week, but none of us took it. Funny enough. Um, but
And
yeah,
like, not to mention,
Now
Derrick
that you
Henry
just said,
really
now
not
that you
do-
just said
Derrick
that,
Henry couldn't do
oh,
anything against the Texans.
he's been
Like,
really
I think
bad.
fantasy wise,
Derrick Henry's good
he
when they
didn't even
win.
have 10. Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
He didn't even have. I don't think Derrick Henry had 10 points on fantasy.
No, he's been
Um,
he's been struggling a little bit, but that's always been the case with Derrick Henry. Like he's a guy that's gonna need a decent amount of carries. And I know going into last week, the Ravens were one of the lowest teams when it came to actually running the ball on first and second down. But last week, 15 attempts, 33 yards. He got the touchdown. 8 attempts against the Chiefs, 12 attempts against the Lions. Like if the Ravens aren't winning, it's going to be really bad to kind of keep. You're basically hoping Derrick Henry finds the end zone. So I don't know. If you have him in fantasy, he still has some name value, but I think until Lamar gets back, it's going to be pretty ugly. Like if you picked up Michael Carter, and I like this week, I'd probably start Michael Carter over a guy like Derrick Henry.
I agree.
But yeah, no, I don't want to spend too much time on this game. But roll Rams, roll Rams. Unless Lamar comes back,
Rams.
Lamar comes back, that might be interesting. But to what strength? The next game on the list, we got San Francisco traveling to Tampa. Tampa
Interesting.
-3.
This is an interesting game.
Yeah,
very.
yeah. We all got
It's
burned
really
last week. We talked highly of the Rams. They came out, and Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne took care of business.
Jake Tongue.
Jake the tongue twister, absolutely dominating.
I will say, give myself some
Jake-
credit here for Kendrick Bourne. Shout out, definitely being one of the anchors of that victory. But Mac Jones,
Yeah, it was a good call,
surprised
man.
me. Also playing through that knee sprain that he's got, or whatever that knee injury he's got. Like I thought he was done by halftime. But he came out. He played a decent game.
I was
We need him.
I was watching the game and I looked away for 5 seconds. And I looked back and I go, "Wait, he's back on the field." Like he's running on the sideline, like
He
perfectly
gets
fine.
sacked and he's like holding his knee like it's the Derrick Rose ACL, and I'm like, oh, he's got his no way.
Yeah,
to
I
make it.
thought-
And, like
I
It
thought
it,
he
it was
good.
funny on like the broadcast. I don't know who the Niners third stringer is, but they were like, oh, he's probably saying like, oh, thank God that Mac Jones is going back in the game. I was like, oh, interesting.
I was
But
like,
yeah, no,
oh.
Mac Jones playing through that injury. That was tough, man, and they still come out there with that win. That was a great play for them.
I feel like every time they cut to Mac Jones on the bench, he's just eating a banana.
I must have missed every.
What about that
happened
sport
to
coat?
them, but-
I think you know why I took the box? Because of that stupid sport coat that he wore at the press conference. Motherfucker looking like Two-Face. You see that on Twitter?
That was a suit.
like-
That was a matching jacket and pants.
Suit coat. Doesn't matter. It's stupid.
I thought it was.
He wasn't doing that shit
I
in
thought
New
it was
England.
cool.
Come on.
Come
No.
on. He's got the money.
Anytime I hear Mac Jones, I just think of the video of him walking out of the tunnel when he gets drafted.
With
Like,
the
full
fast
head.
pace.
Yeah.
But
Like all business.
the only reason that, like, my main reason for taking the Niners here is because realistically, like, I mean, Shanahan, in my opinion, is a top 2 coach in the league, maybe not even 2. And we've seen so far this year. I mean, they're 4-1. I think the most surprising 4-1 team that we know of, maybe outside of Jacksonville. But throughout all the injuries, they've been able to make it work. We saw last week, like, they didn't ask Mac Jones, an injured Mac Jones. They're not telling him to throw it downfield. There was a lot of yak, a lot of Kendrick Bourne, a lot of McCaffrey. Let him run. And the Bucks, they've been playing great, to be honest. But again, the Niners just filled with injuries. I'm not gonna bet against Kyle Shanahan. And it was one of those things. Like, I used to always make the joke. Like, granted, the Chiefs lost last year in the Super Bowl, but like, it's one of those things where it's like, if LeBron is at plus 100 to win, I'm gonna take LeBron. And it's Kyle Shanahan seeing it at plus 3. Like, I'm not gonna count out the GOAT anymore. I'm gonna stick that. But why do you guys like Tampa here? I mean, how can you not? But
Well, Baker through the first 5 games of this season, almost I would say MVP candidate very early on this year. 10 TDs, 1 turnover, 1,200 passing yards. Also 65% completion percentage on those numbers. Pretty impressive stuff. I mean, Egbuka, early case for NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm pretty sure he has, 5 touchdowns on the year already? He has a touchdown every single game.
Mhm.
He's got such a great chemistry with Baker right now. Like those two, they've been balling out.
I
I
didn't get him in fantasy.
I think this is the game too where um Chris Godwin's probably going to get some usage finally. I know he's starting to ease back into it. I mean, he's another key weapon for him. Once he starts getting back into his own rhythm, once the rust scrapes off, he's going to be deadly. Um, Rashad White too. He looked really good last week, stepping up for Bucky Irving. I know he's had some issues in the past, especially with holding on to the football. But I mean, last week I know he had 23 fantasy points. He looked really good, especially in a close game against Seattle. Um, but just some other quick stats. Uh, Same thing on the Niners side. Mac Jones through 3 games, also very impressive. 900 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 pick. 52 fantasy points in 3 games. It's pretty impressive, especially for like a QB2. So going on what you're saying about the Shanahan system, I mean, it's definitely a thing. Definitely works.
Mac
Some quick
Jones.
history that I thought that was. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I just got one stat. Mac Jones. Average depth of target is under 7. That's ranked, under out of the 32 when it comes to starting QBs. So it's going to come down to like how well the Bucks really can contain that like short intermediate part of the field. And if guys like,
Right.
I think Juwan Jennings is coming back. I think Pearsall didn't practice today, so I don't know if he's going to be playing this week.
Jennings didn't practice today.
Yeah, so
McCaffrey was also so dominant in that game against the Rams.
people online theorize that he's just taking all the power from his teammates to stay on the field because he's kind of bent the whole offense.
Yeah, I agree. Some
Dark
quick
magic,
history
that's why there's
between
so
these
many
two
drills there.
teams that I thought was pretty interesting on the betting side of it. The Bucks have been 3-0 against the favorites. Have been 3-0 against the Niners all time at home. And so every time the Niners have traveled down to Tampa, they've lost. Their last meeting was in 2018, 7 years ago, when Jameis Winston was the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No picks this game, funny enough. I actually think this was his 30-30 year. Niners this season are 3-0 against the spread in away games. 1-0 coming off an underdog win against the Rams last week. So, I mean, statistically, both of these teams are very good so far this season against the spread. It's kind of a toss-up. But,
It makes sense. To take
both
the Bucks,
have been
man.
both have been very good on the road. I guess really the big thing that you can kind of say is like these teams really haven't played each other in a long time. So, the coaching teams aren't really that familiar. I mean, that's one thing that if you're Tampa, like going against Shanahan, you have one upper hand against. Like you can pull out some stuff that you haven't been able to pull out yet against that he's probably hasn't seen yet. Then again, though, it's Kyle Shanahan. So at a flat -3, I like Tampa a lot. I think it's going to be a very close game.
The defense for Tampa
I'm wrong with Baker, man.
has been great. That's
I think if San Fran has Nick Bosa, it's a different story. But
are you giving him
because
your
Tampa-
ACL?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying it would be a little bit of a difference maker. But
Just a little bit.
Tampa's offensive line is still really good, and having that key piece to their defense. I mean, Fred Warner's still there; he's still a really good player. But I mean, it's just going to allow Baker to have a little more time in the pocket.
One thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about Rams and Ravens, specifically on the Rams, Nick, your jersey. Shout out Todd.
Shout out Todd Gurley.
That's a nice one though. I like the throwback there. I like it more than their current uniform.
No, I also roll with Tampa Bay here.
Yeah.
Ibuka and Baker have, like I said, really great chemistry going on. Godwin coming back and starting to ease into things now. Yes, that duo is going to be pretty good. And also, we're talking about like how legit are the Bucks possibly? 4-1 and their only loss, a lot of their wins. They've won all 3 games that they've been on the road so far. So it'll be nice for them to get a decent shot at home right now. When Mike Evans comes back, you look at that team all together: Ibuka, Mike Evans, Godwin, Bucky Irving, Rashad White. Like they are stacked on offense, and Baker's just been incredible so far. Levante David's still solid. They have a defense that pretty much saved them last week. But I think overall
still really good safety.
Yeah, exactly. And that team just, and I just looked at the stats both offensively and defensively. very even like top. They are like the top 11th team in the league overall.
I think that
So
just
they're very
sums up the
consistent.
Bucks. Like they're just like they are like a top 10 team, but they're like 10,
They're
11.
always there, man.
Like
But I think right now they have some crazy momentum. And a lot of their games, I mean, if you look at a lot of their games, like Atlanta 23-20 victory, Houston 2019 victory, New York 29-27, Philly 31-25, and then last week 38-35. They lost to Philly
I'm
31-25.
I'm pretty sure
It's so
four.
close.
I'm pretty sure 3 out of the 4 wins have come off of fourth-quarter drives by Baker.
Right, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
last
he
second quarter
drove for Houston. We saw it in Seattle. I don't remember the other one.
yeah, same thing with
They do
with the New York game too, because it was late
Yeah,
in the
they do have
game.
okay, yeah. They do have a tough stretch though, with the 49ers, yes, and Shanahan's a great coach, and then also after that they have Detroit. So
But they have some layups. Like
nice little test coming up here.
they're currently projected for 10.5 wins. The over right now is at minus
Look at their
145.
division.
They still play the Panthers
Well, we
twice.
say layups, but like these games,
They
have
play the
also just
Panthers
been really
twice.
Close.
They played the Saints twice still.
Yeah,
Like-
so they've got some wins. They end the year going at Carolina, at Miami, and then Carolina comes home. So like that'll probably be very crucial to that. Well, depends what the division looks like, but it doesn't look too crazy as of right
Yeah.
now. But speaking on that division, the team that came out in the L of last week in a crazy shootout for Baker and I was about to say the Niners, Baker and the Bucks. But Seattle going into Jacksonville, Jacksonville Dogs. I mean, that's a little bit of a surprise there, especially after their win last night. Or excuse me, 2 nights ago when we're recording this. This was probably like I know I said there were a lot of games that I really didn't like when it came to like looking for picks or like trying to make a decision. But this one being so close, I mean this game gave me a decent headache to look at. I know you were writing a lot about it, Brooklyn, so I'll let you take the floor first.
Yeah, and this almost was like my pick of the week in a way because I kind of liked how narrow the spread was because I think I think last time I checked the lines actually it looked like FanDuel had pushed Jacksonville to become favorites, so I think they may swing the other way. But I like this because when I checked and Seattle was did I say Jacksonville?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Sorry, Seattle.
Yeah,
Seattle got pushed.
Seattle
became the underdog.
You're saying the line changed.
Yeah, though I believe the line changed, and that honestly made me like this a little bit more in a sense because I like how narrow this spread is, but I also kind of like money line because I think on paper the Seahawks have a better offense, and you look at the rate of consistency here. First, let's start off my first point. Jags are coming off a nice win against Kansas City, and they are home. They don't have to travel anything. Not going across country. Seattle is also coming off of that shootout, so they're hungry to get their get back right now. But I think on paper, you look at that Seattle offense, a decent flow right now with Darnold, with JSN, Cooper, and that split backfield between Charbonnet and Walker. They got a lot of weapons there. And I also want to talk about Trevor Lawrence's consistency ratio: six passing touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He has not been anything crazy. Brian Thomas has been very subpar, just throughout the first couple of weeks. And I mean, I think he had like 80 yards receiving last game, but that game was a sweat fest. ETN's been playing solid, but Seattle also allows the fewest rushing yards with 83 yards per game, right around there. And I just think, on paper, that Seattle offense has the possibility to definitely, give Jacksonville's defense a run for their money. I do want to point out that Jacksonville leads the league in interceptions with 10. So they're good at forcing opportunities to get the turnover, but in terms of overall talent, I do believe Seattle can probably pull off now an upset in a way, but I think they're the better team.
Darnold's been great. And I don't
Really quickly.
Yeah.
Looking at the Seattle Seahawks injury report, Tariq Woolen and Devon Witherspoon did not practice today.
And does that scare me? They put up 35 with him last week. Or Baker put up 38 with him last week. I don't.
That BTJ time though.
I hope. I mean, I've got him in a couple of leagues.
It hasn't been though. Through 5 weeks,
But this would be the perfect time. CB 1 and 2 out.
I just can't believe the Jaguars are in like the state that they're
Seahawks defense is actually
Like
Julian Love,
Seahawks defense is
Ernest
solid.
Jones too. No, they have a lot of guys questionable going into this game.
didn't
I
really
thought
look at that
last
injury
week
report,
was
but
was going to be the week that the Jaguars get humbled, and it might be this week. They have the Rams after this as well, which is going to be tricky. But just to recap the start of the year, because I find it kind of crazy that this team is 4-1. They smacked the Panthers week 1. They lose to the Bengals, and that's when Jake Browning came in halfway through the game. Very crazy loss. That's one where they really should have won. They lose to they beat the Texans 17-10 when the Texans offense looked really poor, and to be honest, it still does. But they played the worst offense or one of the worst defenses in the league when with all the injuries in the Ravens. They narrowly beat the Niners, and they go out and beat the Chiefs last night. Or I've done that twice already, 2 nights ago. So I don't know. I feel like I've watched a lot of this team this year, and they just it's a dumb thing to say. It's like, kind of like kind of a boomer take, but like through the eye test, like this is not a 4-1 team. You had the Devin Lloyd pick 6 that really changed the game last night, but Seattle.
2 nights ago.
Looking at it on paper, everything to me screams Seattle.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, weren't you the one that said Seattle was a fluke team though?
What do you mean?
Last week.
I don't have like long-term faith. Like I took Tampa last week because I thought Tampa versus Seattle, like I liked the Bucks.
You took Seattle.
different matchup this
Last
week,
week?
though.
You didn't take the Bucks.
No, I took the Bucks.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Brooklyn took
Oh,
Seattle.
I thought you were calling Seattle. Oh, right.
But no, I think this
Well,
is a good
Which,
spot
I
for
mean,
Seattle.
like, you can't hate me. That game came down to the wire. Like, come on.
And I'm so
No,
mad
it was close.
I was this close last week to taking the Bucks as my pick of the week. But I didn't. But yeah, I think this is a very obvious bounce back game for Seattle. Again, they have to go on the road, which that's probably where this line. Like, if this game's in Seattle, it favors Seattle. But I think the Jags they've had a lot go their way, and I think it's got to end at some point. I think a little humbling here would make sense. Seattle needs to get back on the board, so that's why I'd root Seattle. I see.
Can we just skip this game?
It's now that time.
Can we just talk about it for like 2 seconds?
The first note I made on
The
this
Tennessee
game,
Titans play the Raiders. So coming up, the Bengals play the Packers this upcoming Sunday.
Yeah, minus 4.5 for the Raiders. The first note I put on this was flaming shit versus cold poop. Because I mean, Titans coming off a win, but like that's your flaming shit, I guess. Like they're on fire.
To piss you off, I'm not going to pick the Titans the rest of the season.
Hey, you might see some ugly lines.
He got his one bet on the Titans and never again.
I picked
There we go.
Raiders. We all picked Raiders. The one thing I want to ask you both: ESPN has the win line for the Titans at 3.5 for the rest of the year. I put it to 2.5. Do you think like they sneak out any other wins this year? Like I'll go really quickly the rest of their schedule.
No.
Raiders, Patriots, Colts, Chargers, Texans, Seahawks, Jags, Browns, 49ers, Chiefs, Saints, Jaguars.
I could see Browns that
I
late
know.
into the
I was
season.
gonna say the Browns is like the
that
only
would be
one I can
their
see as a
second win.
possibility.
Yeah, it's ugly.
Yeah, no, that it's gross. Hey, you guys want to go to Tennessee or not Tennessee? Jacksonville. No, yeah, at Tennessee.
I would go to Tennessee.
It's $18.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's crazy.
$18 to watch Kim Ward versus Travis Hunter.
But that's
Actually,
it.
that's kind of cool.
That's it.
That game's just gonna suck.
I hate the
All right, yeah,
Titans.
moving on.
I hate the Titans. I want Nick to take the floor here. Only fitting. Cincinnati at Green Bay minus 14.5. We saw Nick last week go against a double-digit spread in favor of the Lions instead of the Bengals, and this week he's changing that. In fact, we all changed that. I saw at one point I was writing Green Bay. Nick was talking about this game, and I kind of flipped the script to Cincinnati. It looks like Brooklyn did the same too. But are we just 3 guys that love Joe Flacco, or what are we doing?
Listen. If Jake Browning was still under center for this game, then I would have taken Green Bay. But I just think having the experience that Joe Flacco has on this team, especially with the guy like Jamar, makes him a little more. I mean, not even a little more, a lot more dangerous. You
But
have
you
a
gotta
guy
get
that can.
acclimated with a guy like Jamar first. You can't just like throw Joe Flacco in. I don't know. I feel like
They did that in Cleveland. What are you talking about?
The
They made
Bengals,
Jerry Judy look like the wide receiver one.
the Bengals are the 32nd ranked offense when you exclude, basically garbage time. Like we saw last week, they put up points. They did it when they were already down
Mhm.
like 15 or more than 15. Um, but I think the main thing for all of us here is we just don't think that the Packers are going to be able to cover a 3-score game.
Yeah, it's a little
I just,
hopeful.
it's just
I guess at this point it's
you,
a fuck it. Someone's down there somewhere, right?
Kind of.
Between Jamar T and
at this point it really
say his
is,
name
and like
is Yosivas. Yosivas.
yeah, he's still there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. Mike Gesicki's still there too. Wouldn't know.
Like I said,
Chase Brown's still there.
Gritty.
Wouldn't know. Chase Brown has 130 rushing yards this year.
You know,
130.
the most notable
5
Bengal
games.
to me outside of Jamar Chase and T Higgins is Samaje Perine. I know he's still in the Bengals and he probably will be for a while.
We
I
haven't
mean, the biggest
seen... Yeah, sorry, you go.
the biggest question in this game, obviously, and I feel like I talk about the Bengals' offensive line a lot, but it's just so bad that like
Everything's
it's the
bad.
biggest cause of concern. And like, I'll make my same point that I made with Aaron Rodgers earlier. You just traded for a 40-year-old quarterback.
You gotta protect
This guy's gonna fucking die if Micah Carson's just like no.
You see him like
I'm
this,
just
guy
saying.
just like this. Like,
Joe Burrow has gotten season-ending surgery twice now with this team.
Like, should have drafted Penei Sewell. As crazy as that sounds, I love Jamar Chase, but Penei Sewell's the best tackle in the league, and you pass that up.
In my head, they really can't like. There's no worse option. They had the worst option in their scenario. If I think they got a little bit better, only just because of experience-wise. They have a guy that can audible. They have a guy that can call plays. He knows defenses. He's won a Super Bowl. He's led bad teams to the postseason before. Granted, the difference with Cleveland, they had an insane defense, so it kind of made up for his mistakes. But even then, though, if the line was 13.5, I would say yes. Over 2 possessions is just a little much for me. Packers are a good team. Rushing wise, though, Josh Jacobs is kind of having an year, like a little over 3 yards
gonna
carry.
make you pay, man.
This is a team that tied with the worst defense in the league. Let's keep that in mind on prime time. So I just want to also share that.
It's ugly. It's ugly.
It's just for a team to cover 2 scores that tied against the worst offense, tied against the worst defense to the team, and let up 40 points. And CD did play that game, right? That was the first game without him.
I believe so. It doesn't look great. But yeah, no, he was not playing in that game. But you're also talking about a Dallas offense, which on
I know.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just saying it's a clear difference, but I'm also saying that Packers defense didn't necessarily do a great job either.
All it really for 14.5, all it takes for Cincinnati early on in the game is just getting Jamar Chase going. As dumb as that sounds, because the run game you've not been able to establish at all. Chase Brown has been bad, the O-line has been bad. Realistically, it's throw it up to 1 or throw it up to 5 and hope that they come down with it. And that's why you go get a guy like Joe Flacco. I agree with you. Does Joe Flacco survive this game? Hopefully. Hopefully.
We're gonna see the first 12v1 block. And it's just gonna be every guy blocking Micah Parsons.
But let me get in. Somebody put the sound on. Let me get my pick of the week in here. I feel like it's been so long since we've only had. Okay. Thank you. Pick of the week for me is going to be New England on the road -3.5 at the Saints. Don't give me those crickets, baby. We saw Drake May in prime time ball out against the Bills. Maybe not fantasy wise, only like 12 points in fantasy, but we saw some amazing throws. We saw a game that all of us kind of thought that Buffalo would kind of just cover the spread and move on, and a lot of what the media is calling it is Drake May's coming out game. That he's kind of putting himself
Can
out
we just
there.
real quick before we get into your stats talk about how ugly that game was?
The first
it's
half.
gross.
Like right off the first half.
The first
abysmal,
half, it was really bad. Both teams couldn't hold
I-
on to the football
I-
either
the first
drive.
quarter is that where like all those turnovers came from besides Josh Allen's
was like
picks? Like
the-
there were fumbles.
It was
on
like
fumbles.
the first 4 or 5 drives of the game. They just like every time they got past the 50 or the 40, somebody would just fumble the football.
Let me just talk about a bad beat
Restart.
real quick. I was like, having some fun. Let's throw $10 on an anytime lay, right? I had five picks, of which I went 4 for 5 on a James Cook not scoring. The one game that I was like, you probably can get in there. And not just that, that guy got, I think he had 15 carries off of his usual like 20 plus or something. But there was such low usage of James Cook that game. And you know what?
He was the RB1.
Some like say it was.
It's that Patriots defensive line for you.
The D-line
Must have been, but
it's been good.
I don't know. They clearly were. They really limited the whole run game. That game in general was just ugly. I'll talk about the Bills in a minute, but you go ahead.
James Cook had 15 carries for less than 50 yards, no touchdowns, no receptions. That was the other thing. If you have him in fantasy, you're like, where are all my points? He's not getting the ball. But yeah, my pick of the week. The Patriots, they've had some bad losses against the Raiders and the Steelers so far this year, but you're really starting to see this team gain momentum. They stomp the Panthers. They go into Buffalo, and they take that win there. And I just think 3.5 is way too generous. We saw the Saints kind of ball out against the Giants, but again, we talk about this Patriots defense. It just shut down the run on Sunday Night Football. Maybe Josh Allen's one of his worst games in the last 2 years. He made some very interesting decisions. His interception, one of those things that people say, like, you don't go low to high to low. It's kind of like, like you're going, you stop at a 4-way intersection. You look right before you look left, and then you go back right. Like he took too long to make his decisions there. I think you're seeing Stephon Diggs kind of break out a little bit more, get a little bit more comfortable. Something that, like you see usually an ACL injury, it takes a little bit to get back to form. And I know Nick's got some stuff on that, so I won't dig too far into it. But if you're talking about the Saints,
I see what you did there.
do the drums. Do that.
A little late.
Yeah. Saints wins since the start of 2024. They won week 1 against the Panthers. They've won against the Falcons and then the Giants twice. They have covered 5 of 17 games last year.
Seeing that written out, that's terrible.
So
Holy shit.
they are not good. Covering the spread 29% of the time last year. I'm gonna roll Pats. I'm gonna roll with Drake May. If there wasn't, if I were to put on a jersey, that would be the jersey to put on right now. But
last time these teams faced, Mac Jones played, and they lost 34-3. So
that's it. Well, good thing Mac's ready to attack them again. Oh wait, he's throwing a
Yes,
Kendrick
sir.
Bourne. Oh wait, not on the Patriots.
All right, I'll get into my dig stuff if you don't mind. Let me dig into this. Stephon Diggs is actually the first Patriots receiver in 6 years to have back-to-back games with over 100 receiving yards since Julian Edelman.
That's pathetic.
Kind of tells you how bad this receiving room has been since the COVID year, since Cam Newton.
I feel like we've seen it. I feel like that's a very notable. Like since 2019, since Edelman, the Patriots have sucked with receivers.
It's terrible.
2019 was not 2 years ago.
No. So
been a while.
And especially going into this offseason, a lot of drama with Stephon Diggs and Cardi B and all that stuff. But it's actually it's good to see him actually. But it's actually good.
So much drama. He's just having a kid.
He had the pink powder.
Oh,
him on the boat.
Oh yeah. Oops.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Him on the boat. But aside from all of that, going into training camp, it was a big narrative. But aside from that, it's actually good to see his usage. Yeah.
Oh, the pink powder.
85 catch
I didn't
percentage
see that
season. Oh, you didn't see that? Yeah, it was a big summer
What are you,
scene.
living under a rock?
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, he was on the
Kind of.
boat. He leads the team in
Well, before
target.
we tarnish him, yeah,
So
go on.
so fantasy value. I mean, the last 2 weeks over 100 receiving yards. Hasn't found the end zone, but I would say redraft leagues. I mean, wide receiver too, solid flex option, especially if you look at their schedule. Uh, Dynasty value still pretty low.
Um,
I wouldn't really give anything up crazy for him in Dynasty. I mean, if you're really lacking, maybe like a third, fourth round pick.
no, I mean, I think if you're desperate enough, you want to make a push. I think you definitely can go grab him. But like, yeah, I wouldn't pay more than like a late second. My biggest hot take from this game though, I would probably say is Travion Henderson, fantasy wise, outscores Ramondre. Antonio Gibson tore his ACL. Rest in peace. Might hurt special teams for the Pats big time because he was helping out a lot there. But I think this is a good spot for Henderson. Again, the Saints defense is not prolific in anything. And if things work out the way they do, Drake May, he's not against checking it down. So I think there is going to be at least one touchdown coming out of the running back room. And I think this is a good week for Henderson. Jumping into not the primetime games, almost. But
no, KC Detroit. That's Sunday Night Football.
Oh, oops. All right, so I was right there. I don't know why I didn't have it noted that way, but I was talking about Seattle, Jacksonville being tough, and holy shit, man!
This one's tough.
Detroit at
This one's
Kansas
tough.
City Kansas City. KC -1.5 when we started this. Now -2.5.
They went up.
Yeah. Which I mean usually means something good, but when we recorded, the Jets were +2.5. Before game time last Sunday, they were -2.
They were favored. Yeah.
So take that as you will, but yeah, +2.5 for the Lions. That's what we all went with here. Really pissed me off, man. I can't lie. Like I it's like the Chiefs. It's one of those things where like they're gonna make the playoffs. Like with us saying this, like they're gonna lose this week. They're gonna fall to then 2-4. And you know who they play the next two games? Or excuse me, well, they play the Raiders next week. That should be a layup. But then it's the Commanders come to town, and then you go to Buffalo, and then you go to Denver, and then the Colts come to town. So there's gonna have to be some point where this Chiefs team picks up momentum. But I think it's dumb to go against the Lions. I mean, the Lions just statistically have been dominating.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Have they also played? I mean, they got their asses handed to them week 1 against the Packers. Then they shit on the Bears, shit on the Ravens, shit on the Browns, and proceed to do so to the Bengals. So this is also seems like a pretty good spot. Like looking at the schedule, where like it could be a Lions L. But we're favoring Dan Campbell on the road here. They did this a couple of years ago. Let's not forget they went into KC and took a win. Lions
Week 1 opening.
Last year, Lions 7-1 against the spread on the road.
Wow.
I talked a little bit about like how their secondary is a little weak. They've allowed the fifth least rushing yards, and the Kansas City rushing offense has really not been there. 52.5 point total for the game. So this could be a little bit of a shootout. But if there's a world where KC wins, how do they?
Field goal.
When is Rice coming back?
Week 7.
Next week.
Okay. Well.
Because it's gonna the way that I see it is it would have to be like for KC to win, it's gonna be Mahomes throwing for like over 300.
Yeah.
That's what I see too. And
I mean, unless they can figure out a way to just limit Gibbs, but then you got to worry about
Montgomery.
Rod. You got to worry about Laporta. I mean,
Laporta.
I don't know, man. That Lions offense is just so
JMO,
in so many different ways.
a fucking JMO deep bomb somewhere.
JMO's just bad. They haven't really needed him.
Spagnuolo, Springfield legend.
I know.
Maybe he can drop some magic. I don't see how the Chiefs really. I don't see the Chiefs pulling this off personally. I think the Lions are just way too
punch
dominant.
myself if it goes the wrong way, but My gut said Detroit. We're gonna stick with Detroit. We saw him. We saw
Stick with
KC
the
this week
Detroit.
lose at home. It's not something that we haven't seen before.
Right.
Now are we approaching your pick? Or excuse me, did we just recapping here?
Yeah, this is the last one.
Oh no, we got two
You're
more.
right
We got two
here.
more. We're into Monday
We got
Night
two more.
Football.
Yeah, I'll take it over, I guess, if you want.
Yeah, jump in. Rocking the Josh Allen jersey. Bills at Atlanta. Minus
It's like
3.5.
after the loss to the Patriots, I'm like, yeah, let's rep the Josh Allen jersey. Well, I mean, I really am wearing it because I think this is gonna be their bounce back game from that loss, which was just tough. I mean, again, that game was ugly, especially that first half. Looking at this game against Atlanta, though, I mean, this is just gonna come down to a simple case of who's the better team. I think. I do want to note that Atlanta is one of the best defenses in the league. In terms of limiting total yardage, I think against quarterbacks has been around 150 yards. Nick was right one class,
135, I think.
something around there. Oh shit!
Which is still insane.
He did face JJ
But I would
McCarthy and
like-
Bryce Young.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's going off of, but also it's pretty fucking impressive for 5 weeks. I did not know
looking
that.
at that, like against Tampa, yes, they took a close L there, but also at the same time, like the games that they have played recently, like Minnesota, Carolina, Washington. Mariota was playing, I think, for the Commanders. Bryce Young, not really
Yes.
exactly a strong quarterback, and McCarthy, that was a horrible game to watch. But looking at the Bills now, this is like one of the first big teams they've actually played against. In Buffalo, in all but one of the games against New England, have put up at least 30 points now through 5 weeks. Josh Allen is still Josh Allen. Like, the guy makes plays, and with the Bills, everybody eats offense. It's really hard to guess who is exactly going to be the guy who burns you. And that's what makes them so great is their balanced pass and how they can also mix in a lot of the run game there with James Cook. It's time. Buffalo converts 67% of their red zone opportunities. Waiting for it. No?
You don't even
They're not
deserve
gonna be
it.
with
No.
No, that's 3 times now. Sick of this shit.
And like I said, Bills are very good at balancing that pass and run offense, and it's going to challenge Atlanta's whole defense to figure out where to plug those leaks. Now, Buffalo's defense is also right behind Atlanta's in terms of least passing yards allowed at around 154. It's the league's second best team defensively. Talking about the Falcons, they're going to really be relying on their defense to keep them in this game. Michael Penix has thrown 3 touchdowns so far through the year and also 3 interceptions. His quarterback rating is 82.7. He is not exactly something to worry about at the moment. Now, of course, it really helps you have a shared Google Doc that people can just type, when you're reading off. But looking, Atlanta's obviously going to be leaning completely on Bijan to now try to dominate there. Drake London is also, a factor, but, you take Drake London away and who you got? Kyle Pitts, the rise of Kyle Pitts, Tyler
Fuck Kyle
Algier.
Pitts. Sorry.
That's a
Drake London,
proud
Personal
fantasy
beef.
owner of Kyle Pitts, everybody.
Nope.
He's sitting
I-
right on my
nope.
bench. But Donna Mooney hasn't really done that much. And if you look at that, Bijan's really the one saving grace they're going to have outside of their own defense, possibly keeping them in this game. Falcons, in their red zone conversion rate, 50%. They really just struggle to finish drives. But, looking at this Bills offense, Josh Allen still put up a modest game, even with a couple of crucial turnovers against New England. As long as he can try to limit turnovers this time, James Cook is definitely looking for a bounce back week now. I think it's just really going to come down to a case of who is really going to be the better team. Now, the Falcons defense has also allowed over 50% of opportunities in the red zone to result in a touchdown. Combine that with the Bills converting a larger percentage of their red zone opportunities to touchdowns. I like this minus 4.5 now. Spread, obviously, they are favorites. Only thing to monitor for the Bills, at least, is going to be Matt Milano. Obviously, that defense has been a little shaky. That's really going to be the thing that beats the Bills on their own, is just if they can contain Bijan and then convert on their own opportunities. But I like Bills minus 4.5 right now. It's a better team, and they're definitely looking for a win coming off of a game they probably should have won against New England.
Bills 2-3
Nope.
against the spread this year. Very
That
interesting.
doesn't make me too nervous.
All
Pick of the week.
Again, well, but again, you're looking at this Falcons team that has like a non-threat quarterback, and you're just really relying on Bijan and your own defense to really keep you in the game.
No, I agree with
Yeah, it's
you.
a lot.
I also I like Bills at 3.5. I like him at 4.5. I'd probably take him to 6.5. To be honest,
I said that about the Chargers, man. Let's slow down.
Yeah. I just do think the game script where this doesn't go in Buffalo's favor is going to be some type of defensive turnover. The defense has been really good. The Bills themselves defensively, they've had their struggles a little bit, but they're not necessarily like the D line is kind of what shows out for Buffalo. And if you can slow down Bijan, it's going to make this game a lot easier.
If you look at a lot of games, the Bills have gotten beat on a lot of third down conversions that have been crucial, and overall the passing game is not what's killing them. It's a lot more that these runs that they're allowing to get up the middle are, at least for a chunk of yardage, that gets third down opportunities a lot more doable. So again, with Michael Penix really not being like some crazy threat at quarterback right now, you just got to try to stop Bijan, which everyone tries to, but if you can do it.
Anything you want to add there, Nick?
No, I mean, you guys pretty much summed it up. I like Buffalo. I like Buffalo minus 4.5. I think James Cook is actually going to be the driving factor in this game. But it's interesting to see how this defense is actually going to bode well against the whole everybody gets a touch game plan.
Yeah, fantasy-wise, I like Bijan in this. Dalton Kincaid, quick shout-out. Dalton Kincaid had his first career 100-yard receiving game last week against New England, and is currently the tight end 2.
He was a dog.
Something else I wanted to touch up on, not exactly just like about Kincaid's performance. Also, this is talking about the Falcons, though. Just keeping this in mind, if you do have Kincaid, they have been pretty solid against not exactly limiting tight ends, but looking at Kincaid, for this week, I don't know if he's going to have as much success as he's still in the last couple weeks. Falcons have been a pretty decent team defensively against tight ends. I do agree with Nick's point that James Cook might be one of the driving factors right now this week specifically. So, but yeah, shout out Dalton Kincaid. Congrats.
Final game of the week, Monday Night Football. We got the Hail Mary revenge game from from last year.
Couple years ago.
Yeah, former first overall pick Caleb Williams versus the second overall pick in the same draft, Jaden Daniels. 3.5 in favor of Washington. And guys, I did take the Bears here, and to be completely honest, I couldn't find stats that helped the Bears. Like, I'm not recommending people throw money on the Bears, but when I was looking at my board, I'm looking at possible upsets. That was one that, kind of like, maybe it's name value off of Caleb, but to me, like, I do believe in Ben Johnson, and I think if there is going to be some type of surprise that they run, like, again, we saw a Hail Mary was the difference last year, and you're talking about an upgraded OC. The offense has been moving a little bit better. I still don't really love the run game so far, and the Commanders have had a pretty solid defense. But it's kind of the same logic that I had with like San Fran winning, where there isn't really a specific point that sticks out to me in this way. But I think that, especially when you're a primetime game, I think that's where a lot of different things can happen, like a Drake May masterclass against the Bills. So for me, I kind of went Bears here, thinking that, like Caleb's going to, grow into those cleats. He's going to put on the big boy pants, and he's going to show the world why he was picked.
He's going to paint the fingernails the fresh color.
Exactly.
He's going to get out there.
Exactly. And he's going to dominate. He's going to dominate, but the run might not as much. 49.5 total points for the game, so that also makes me excited for a primetime game. I think that is also pretty high.
It's high for a Monday night game.
Yeah, exactly. And also the line, I say all that, and now move to 4.5 in favor of Washington. But yeah, I mean, I was looking through the numbers, and everything leans Commanders. But I feel like at least once a week there's that WTF game of like, how did they pull this out, aka the Titans. I think this could be.
You got me. I don't care. I will.
This could be our surprise of the week.
I don't know. Brooklyn's in the realm of Neverland right now.
Yeah. What are we doing over there?
Where'd you go? Your mic's
we
gone.
can't hear him. We're gonna have to carry the show until we hear him. Um,
I really do hope that, well, Brooklyn's fixing the microphone issue. I really do hope that Roma Dunze continues to have the season that he's
Are we back?
He's yay!
back.
Welcome back.
what
Roma Dunze though finally.
He's actually
Yeah, I know.
saying pretty much what I was about to say.
Oh,
I was saying how the Bears haven't been anything crazy, but the talent that they got on that team with Odunze playing so well, Moore is always an option, and Komet, and I mean Swift is a solid back, nothing what he was,
sucks.
but
I don't like DeAndre Swift.
I think he's got upside, man. But I think that whole
he's
team.
like Bo Nix. He's just good. Like on fantasy level, he looks good.
Nico's been
Bo
saying
Nix.
DeAndre Swift's had upside since the Detroit days. I
believed in DeAndre Swift when he was a Lion, and then he's just sucked. Like he's not good at. He can't read the line. He doesn't necessarily do much after his yards per carry's never been pretty. Every year I'm like, how is this guy still an RB1? He finds his way into the shittiest RB rooms. Like he was the RB1 in Philly.
It's him and Roshan Johnson.
I was about
to say,
I
don't know.
Remember when he had 200 rushing yards in Philly?
Like I am
most
a
rushing yards since Shady.
I'm a DeAndre Swift hater. That's a guarantee. But like at the same time, roll Bears this week. For the Commanders, I mean Debo's been playing really good. Shout out Bill last week as well. I think he was RB
Big Bill
somewhere in the top 5. 27 points I think for the week.
He got in there twice.
But you see 4.5. What do you see coming out of this game? Picking Washington here. You just think it's going to be similar to like you look at the Chargers game where they kind of just took they were down early, but they kind of just took control from there, dominate through the.
I think it'll be. Yeah, I think so. I think he'll be able to take control and kind of win this game. I mean, Daniels, considering he just came back from injury, he looked pretty good last week. I mean, when he had to scramble out of the pocket.
Hell yeah, he did.
But he had to scramble. I mean, obviously the leg injury was kind of a big factor going into last week's game. How was he going to be able to maneuver? Was he still going to be pretty agile? He looked great. He looked fine. So, I mean, having an extra day of rest, especially on a Monday night game, and especially against the Bears defense, I think they'll look pretty good. I think Washington at a comfortable. I was almost going to say 3.5, but now 4.5. I would still take that. Still take 5.5.
All right. So that's our rundown for the week. Quick overview of our picks of the week.
Just a quick one.
Yeah,
just a quick rundown.
Hey, you know
yeah,
what?
because that segment was just quick.
There's a lot of football. It's an hour and a half of content, and we still got our. We're gonna go through it a little bit quicker, but we got our start sits. We're gonna keep this under.
I know we were TV guys. I wouldn't say any of our voices are nearly the most listenable for
hours.
Talking about?
Hey,
if you're listening at an hour and a half in, you're gonna listen to an hour 45. All right, let's be real.
Invested at this point, you might as well finish the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yep.
Picks of the week, though, we've got Nick with the Colts minus 6.5, now 7.
In case you forgot,
against the Cardinals. Yeah,
talked about it an hour ago.
You always got to recap.
I know, I'm joking.
Then we have my pick at New England minus 3.5 against the Saints, and then Brooklyn minus 3.5, now 4.5 against the Bills against the Falcons. But with that, I've really been wanting to avoid this segment because I know I got to talk about last week. But
no. Let's do it. Let's do
starts
it.
and sits.
I think I'd sit them both.
Oh, okay, guys. Again, when you talk about you just start a podcast, and not only do the Jets blow up in my face, but this one was arguably worse. We posted on TikTok and Instagram at that_pod. Where I say that I like Geno more than Stroud this week, and Geno finished with 5.92 fantasy points. Got a point. The 0.01 matters here for how little he got. QB 27 on the week, 25 for 36, 228 passing yards, 2 picks. That's it. On CJ Stroud, QB 1, QB fucking 1, 28.76 points. 4 touchdowns. He had a 30-yard run. He's never done that before.
I think the curse that was once on Nick has been flipped.
That one was
Yeah, I know. I think Nico is the fade guy from now
I
on.
mean, hey, I think Stratford comfortably just thinking that he's going to be the guy. Like I said, he gets you in between number of something, probably very average to a decent week, and this just happened to be that decent week for him. So,
I thought it was a
but
game
I would say a
manager.
little more than
Smith, like I
decent.
said, just like I said, he is a huge boomer bust. He is either going to get you around 6 points or like 30, but it's never going to be something like a consistent, like maybe 12, 15, 18, whatever. Like he's just going to be boom or all like just bleh. Yeah, I would never
Boomer
touch you.
Doom.
Doom or Doom.
Um, Nick had wobble. Oh boy, see, this is what
Wobble,
happens.
baby,
This is
wobble.
we're talking
Jalen
about Jalen
Waddle.
Smith. I'm all over.
We're gonna wobble right next to the next matchup.
Oh,
Do it.
what do you mean? I'm yeah. There we go.
Alright.
Jalen Waddle versus Olave. Waddle finishes the wide receiver 8, 23 points, 6 for 9, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Although, pretty interesting note, before that late game touchdown, he was sitting at 13.6 points, so that kind of really did boost his day. Because for a lot of that game, he was pretty on par with Olave. Olave finished as wide receiver 28, 12.9, 7 for 11, 59 yards. So pretty close, but the touchdown kind of put it over Waddle. And guess who started Waddle over Olave? We got something this week.
That's fair, but I do just want to say my analysis going into the week of saying Olave, the target share was there. 11 targets, 7 catches.
Yeah, that is true.
It's still there. It wasn't exactly wrong. It would have been very close.
I believe you went.
It would have been. It literally would have been par for par.
So no, you said Olave. Brooklyn, what did you say last week again between those two?
For whatever reason, it's not coming back to my head.
Fair enough.
I think he said Waddle.
And then, outside of my own pickup last week, the other two things I said did work. I said, Waddle without Tyreek, he's found the end zone more often than not. And he's been a top 10 wide receiver. Brooklyn's matchup last week, Jamar versus A.J. Brown. I said any other week I'd probably start A.J. Brown, but Jamar had...
But you're even in a league where like you have that scenario. I think that...
You're in like a chopped league.
Between those two. Chopped. I think between those two, it's a pretty clear play to me because AJ Brown's playing the Broncos in an Eagles offense that was already struggling with the pass, and if anything, like I said, Jamar is the only option for the Bengals, and yeah, he didn't really light it up until the fourth or the second half, especially that fourth quarter. But in terms of like who's going to get the bigger plays and possible game-changing or whatever, just fantasy points in general. He's got much of a better opportunity to have those plays.
If your league counts points for tackles, that probably would have boosted him further. But Jamar finished with 29 points, wide receiver 2, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 catches. A.J. Brown, 9.3, wide receiver 48. I think he sits right now as like the wide, somewhere in the 40s in total for the season. 5 for 8, 43 yards, but I did mention that touchdown beforehand. That probably would have given him about like 13 points. Maybe I'm being a little crazy there. Maybe closer to 10. But yeah, that's the recap there. Bad week for me, at least on my own pick. I did good for the other two, but I'm picking another one that's just kind of gross. Another and I think a little bit more realistic. Like on your roster, like if you were a guy that owned Chase Brown, you most likely had a good waiver order and you're able to pick up Michael Carter. You got both on roster, and Michael Carter we only seen one game from him. We saw 18 points. We saw DeMarcado kind of maybe play his way out of that RB2 spot over a bullshit win. But the Colts, they've allowed 98 rushing yards per game this year, about 4.49 yards per carry. And again, Chase Brown probably had his best game of the year last week. And as someone screaming for Jamar Chase,
catches alone.
Yeah, exactly. He had 8 targets, 7 catches, only 21 yards. Like Chase Brown it's been really ugly. Like the yards per carry is not there. He's had one game this year with over 4, and it's sat at 4. But he's also going against a Green Bay offense that we saw really struggle. So between the two, it's going to be a very similar situation of like I think these are both bad matchups for the two, but I think Michael Carter at least has has a little bit more upside being on an offense that can move the ball. So for me, I would go Michael Carter over Chase Brown, but I don't know if you guys feel any differently.
No, I don't know.
I'm agreeing with you with Michael Carter. I think Chase Brown, like like you said, that he hasn't been very great, especially like now this Bengals offense is so unpredictable. But if you look at the Cardinals, like they only have 3 options right now that they can kind of go to.
Chase Brown's just in a bad
Um,
spot. If you can trade him, trade
right,
him.
Yeah, because
right.
even the point you make up with the yards after the catch for Chase Brown, but the check downs, it's just not there, man. There's he just can't
Ideally,
develop a play from nothing into something.
the least or the least amount of Bengals you have in your starting lineup, I think the better you'll be in most scenarios. But Michael Carter,
Yeah.
again, we're talking about how it could be really ugly for the Cardinals against the Colts. But I definitely think there's a little bit more upside play with him rather than Chase Brown. If you want to you want to guarantee yourself 6 points, then I think you go Chase Brown. But don't expect 11. Your your range is low there.
Flat at 6.
Which one do you want to go
With
next?
5 catches.
I can go. Yeah, let's go down the order here. I'm in another receiver pickle here, and this actually happens to be one that I'm actually currently in. Now, both of these guys, ironically, I do have starting as they are some of my better receivers on my team, but it is Garrett Wilson or George Pickens. Now, I bring this one up because almost like how A.J. Brown going against the Broncos now, Jets obviously going against the Broncos looking for a big win, hopefully their first win. Pickens, likely going to be against J.C. Horn. We talked about the Panthers defense earlier, and let's just start with the Jets. The Jets still have a solidified offensive attack with just Fields, Hall, and Wilson. Jets are probably going to be playing from behind for a majority of the season, if not pretty much every game. That's going to leave a lot of just let's get the ball to our best options and try to mitigate damage. That's going to give, of course, Garrett Wilson a bunch of opportunities, but he is going against Sertan. In his last 2 meetups against Denver, he has averaged 48 yards. Obviously, Denver is a top defense, but not the best defense. To me, Garrett Wilson's projected a very, very mid-tier week to possibly, maybe his usual 15, 16 points. I don't really see him being anything crazy, not too high of a ceiling, at least just for this week. Now, I'm talking about Pickens here. I honestly, obviously we know Dak is very pass heavy. Even though he is going to be going up against J.C. Horn, I do think that we are expecting a little bit of a shoot up for that Panthers game. Dallas defense is terrible. Dak's got to air it out a decent amount. Now, let's talk real quick about Pickens' efficiency. He scored a touchdown in every game except for week 1. And that's was it week 1 or week 2 in season now? I think it was week 2, right? Because they had him at that running back play and he got blown up. He is still, definitely the number one target other than Jake Ferguson. Flournoy kind of snuck through and had a big week last week, but I still think, in terms of who's going to be the guy that Dak is going to feel pretty comfortable going to in the red zone, between him and Jake Ferguson, it is going to be Pickens. And I think he's going to have a much higher ceiling in terms of between those two. And also is just a clear wide receiver 1 on that team against a defense that is not the Broncos. So I'm going to lead towards Pickens here. Again, I'm currently in this situation, so if you want to help me out, I'm not playing against either of you this week. Let's go.
No hesitation for me. It's Pickens.
Yeah, it's George Pickens.
I just Pat Surtain scares me, and I think that the matchup wise, the Jets might be the scenario where they have to throw it, but again, I think that matchup's a little bit scary. But Dallas facing a Carolina offense or defense that definitely allows a lot more. We just saw Waddle's success there, and we've seen how well Dak's been throwing it. So for me, I think Pickens definitely gonna have a better game than Garrett Wilson.
Yep, I agree.
Nick very quietly agrees.
I do agree, and we'll be going into mine now. Sticking with the Cowboys. So mine's actually kind of interesting because that also ties in with my pick of the week. However, my picks sit for quarterbacks this week. It will be Daniel Jones or Dak Prescott. Why not?
Why did you spit on that thing? There was no
Daniel Jones versus Dak Prescott because Mr. Haktua last week against the Carolina secondary, 256, 3 touchdowns, 75% completion percentage. This, of course, was without Tyreek Hill. This was Tua's best passer rating game since November of last year against the Patriots. So I mean, this Carolina secondary really isn't that great. I mentioned this kind of earlier. Dak last 2 games, 7 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, 500 yards passing, crazy numbers. Cardinals defense. Going back on the Daniel Jones side, my stats are kind of scattered. My apologies. I didn't organize this very well. For Daniel Jones side of things, Cardinals defense, they allow the third most total points to fantasy quarterbacks. Some of the most notable names: Mac Jones scored 15, Sam Darnold had 18 points against the defense, and Bryce Young, 22 points against this Cardinals defense, especially with that Carolina offense. That's definitely saying something. And Cowboys Panthers could be shootout. Dallas again, worst team in the league. So I mean, if Bryce Young and the Panthers do decide to come and play, expect to see the ball be thrown a lot, or a lot of screen check down plays to Javonte Williams. I don't want to go against my pick of the week here, but for fantasy wise, I'm leaning towards Dak Prescott. I just think that this Panther secondary is just a little bit worse. And just Dak has just been on an insane roll. And also, all time, Dak has faced Carolina 3 times, has yet to throw an interception, has not committed a single turnover. He has faced them in 2018, 2021, and then their last matchup almost 2 years ago, be 2 years in November. They faced each other in 2023, and he had 2 touchdowns.
Roll Dak, baby. Roll Dak.
Last time Bryce Young played this team, he had 123 passing yards. So
yeah,
Adam Thielen had 74 of those.
I like Dak here. I think for me it's another no question. I think Daniel Jones, like if he sneaks in a rushing touchdown, I think he outscores Dak here. But unless Javonte ends up stealing everything on the goal line like he did like week 1, I think this is one of Dak's like premier starts.
I was gonna say this is one of those games. Like I also think this is very interesting duo here because like Dak Prescott's obviously in a very good rhythm, but so is Daniel Jones has been on the money. Who's probably gonna have like a better week? Yeah, I would say Dak because the amount of times that he does have those bigger plays, he airs it out a lot more and a lot further than Daniel Jones typically. So I like this way with Dak.
Plus, like
Dak Prescott. Hold on, quick stat.
Sorry.
Dak Prescott. 101 total fantasy points this season so far. Daniel Jones, 95. Dak Prescott has scored 6 more total fantasy points than Daniel Jones total this season. For context.
Yeah, and like mind you, the Colts, I mean, they had a couple defensive takeaways, but you dropped 40 points, and Jones last week was the QB 18. Still had 17, which isn't bad. But I think the difference with it is going to be how these two teams handle goal line carries. Like, it's going to be is Daniel Jones somehow sneaking one in, which, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's, kind of been, it's been him or Amir Abdullah. Crazy. But unless the Cowboys just find themselves at the 5-yard line every time and Javonte steals them all, I think this is an obvious Dak start for me.
I'm going to go with it. I like it.
But I think that's...
Would you look at that?
That's all.
How long has this been?
Nice little, right before an hour 45-ish.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good info, a lot of good data going in.
When you got to debrief 14 games, like just do the math there. Like you spend roughly 5 minutes on a team, and shit, man, you're way past an hour. But I appreciate everybody that's been listening all the way to the end. Love the audience.
Seriously,
love my fans.
Yep.
Let's take a look back at this whole episode now. Yeah, your fans. The guys who you gave killer picks. Our fans. You mean Knicks fans?
Yeah, if I have another bad week, guys, I might not be on for episode 3. And
it's just me and Nick talking about the rest of it.
It's just gonna be me. Yeah, I know. And then it won't even be an hour and a half.
let's recap things here. So far looking at who's got bye weeks this week. We got the Texans and the Vikings. Take a good one off. Recap of our picks. We got, first one for me going for Bills. Bills at minus 4.5, formerly at 3.5. That is going to be my pick of the week. Looking at Knicks, we got him taking now. Colts minus 7 was minus 6.5. And Nico, remind me.
Pats minus 3.5. We're not losing this week. We're going back to 1-1.
Saints have a great record against the spread. Yep, I remember we covered that. But yeah, those are our picks of the week. We will be posting those on our social media as well. Feel free to follow us on each of those: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at @LikeThat_pod. But guys, if you have anything else to say, that's all I got. Been a pleasure.
I hope the next time that we speak, the scoreboard for total picks is not as swayed in favor as Nick.
We're doing our best right now to keep our units tracked right now on at least the picks that we've made for our picks of the week. See where we end up at the end of the year. So,
right. So I'm up a unit, and all I have to say is I hope everybody is up 2 units the next time we talk.
That'd be huge.
I just don't want any bad voodoo.
All right,
guys. Well,
also, roll Bengals.
Roll Bengals.
Roll Bengals.
Roll Bengals.
See you later, guys. Thanks for coming in.
Good night.
Deuces.